welcome to Xandermonium, the talk show that gets you talking. I'm Xander Gibb, and on today's show with my co-host, Tyhe Egar, I will be looking at this week's newsiest items, wrong teeth in today, and taking your calls. And in part two, I will be speaking to NYC band Underpup. More to come in a mere moment. So you can interact with us during the show in the chat room at the bottom of the show page. Keep scrolling down, it will take you there. Now, if it's not letting you get involved in the chat, that's because you actually need a blog talk account. I will let you sign up with Facebook or Twitter very simply. So you can call us throughout the show on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Or on Twitter, you can tweet us. My Twitter handle is @XanderGibb, XanderGibb, capital X, capital G. Don't forget the all-important @ symbol. Tyhe's Twitter handle is @TyhePaulEgar, TYHEPAULEGAR, capital T, capital P, capital E. And again, don't forget that all-important @ symbol. And you can also tweet Underpup. Their Twitter handle is UnderpupNYC, UNDERPUPNYC. Tweet me or Ty if you are too shy, and we will make your point for you. Oh, yes, we will. So in the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan, host stood hard as iron, on water like a stone. Snow and snow and snow and snow and snow and snow on snow. Where's it all coming from? And Brian Williams was there to report on it to boot. Oh yes, Zan fans, I am sick of the snow and the failures to clear it off the roads and the sidewalks. As I look out my window right now, I see a snow mountain in my yard. Will it ever end, I ask? Also this week, we learned that Brian Williams is so appreciative of the fact that the phrase liar, liar, pants on fire is merely a phrase. Pew, close call there, Brian. So he was on the Titanic also, you know. Well, allegedly. So some bad news for you guys. Rosie O'Donnell is leaving The View once again. A mixture of tensions with Whoopi and issues at home stemming from separation with her beautiful wife, Michelle Rounds, are cited as some of the reasons. Now, fans seem to be expected to choose between Whoopi and Rosie, but why should fans have to choose? Do we always have to be expected to take sides? Rosie or Whoopi, Madonna or Lady Gaga? Will this madness never end? Now, I love both of these women, but I have to say, Whoopi really dug in her Manolos far too far for my liking. Yes, there is no question she is the moderator, the queen bee, but ruling with an iron fist and disagreeing just for the sake of it didn't quite cut it with little Lenny G. Oh, no, siree. Now, we expect better from her royal whoopiness, and she should be more concerned with show ratings than her individual status. Now, I love The View and will continue to watch, but Whoopi, get a grip, my dear, and siding with Brian Williams just to get one over on Rosie is far too beneath you, my dear. We send our love to Rosie and Whoopi, and we hope that Rosie will continue to come back to The View from time to time. Oh, yes, we do. Now, that was Xander's soapbox for this week. If you'd like to come and get on your soapbox about any particular subject you wish to choose, you can email me at xander@xandergibb.com. That's xander@xandergibb.com. Oh, yes, indeed. Hello to everybody in the chat. Hello to the guests. Just checking to see who is around. So joining me to break down the hotter topics, the issues that matter, and, of course, everything in Bieber world is my co-host, writer, and Glasgow aficionado, the one, the only, Mr. Tyhe Egar. Welcome back, Ty. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm well, but my voice will be coming and going mainly this evening. So if I sound a little strange, that's why.
But mostly going by the sounds of it.
It is, yeah. It's I think it's a little bit better than it was earlier when I spoke to you, but it keeps coming and going quite badly. So I am doing my best, ladies and gentlemen. So you'll have to bear with me, I'm afraid. This is as good as it gets, and it's quite painful. But and I'm not in the chat room at the minute because Blog Talk, doing its usual classy standard, won't let me sign in. It's not recognising my password, so I'm just going to keep trying, and hopefully I will join everybody in the chat room at some point.
Let me just try something very quickly, and while I'm doing that, tell us how your week was and what's been going on with you this week.
Well, I'm doing my usual boring. So as a writer, what can I say? I've been writing, but I've been speed writing now because I am getting a lot of people pressuring me to bring book 2 out, and I'm really sorry. It's going to take a little while because it's a much bigger story. I keep saying this. It's a much bigger story than part 1, and people, it's really sweet. Thank you for sending me tweets and things saying I really love the first one and when's the second one coming out. But it's stressing me out. It's not going to make it come any quicker. But keep doing it. It reminds me I have to write quicker though, so it's okay. Keep reminding me. And thank you for the support. But I promise you I'm writing as quickly as I can.
Tell people
I'm also in
have
process.
Not been... Go on. Sorry. No,
well,
go on,
I was just saying, and we're in the process as well at the minute. If you're trying to go to the website, if you want us to do any work for you at the minute, you'll realise that the website isn't up and running. That isn't because we've gone out of business or we don't care about you. It's because we're changing web hosts, and it's all going to get a lot more dynamic, and we're changing payment options so it's much easier for people and much clearer. So at the moment, it's the same address, brokenflowersmultimedia.com, but it's not up at the moment, and we will let you all know through Xander when it is. But it's going to take a week or so because we're having everything redesigned. So the address is the same, but everything's being redesigned. And by the looks of things, we're going to have a separate website for me personally. So there'll be 2 websites. There'll be a website for Broken Flowers Publishing, and there'll be a website for me and the book, because we're getting power crazy.
Yes, it's imperative. You have to have a tpegar.com. That will be fabulous. So just while you're talking about the book, let me tell people what the book's called. If you want to try and sign into chat again, I just redid it. It should let you in now. But Tyhe's book is called Mother's Ruin, and it's his first book in the series of the Reclamation Wars, and it's available digitally with all good booksellers. But if you go to Amazon, you can actually order a paper copy of Tyhe's book. You can actually do that now with regards to Mother's Ruin. So get yourself along to Amazon and buy Tyhe's book, or I will have to sleep with your boyfriends.
Thank you.
You see, I bet when you check your sales today, you'll have sold hundreds today because people will just be so afraid that Xander Gibb might hit on their boyfriend. So there you go.
That's just the visual alone, really, isn't it? I'm in, by the way. Sorry, I'm joining you now.
Absolutely, it's one way to get people to buy books and listen to shows and buy CDs and things like that. So I don't know. Say again. Sorry.
I said if only I could just threaten to sleep with people, I'd be a multimillionaire by now.
Exactly. So I don't know how much you've heard of this in the UK, Tyhe, but nightly news anchor Brian Williams did not take a hit in Iraq, as he's been claiming. And the phrase liar, liar, pants on fire springs to mind. Now, with his claims proven to be untrue, his other reports are being called into question after he admitted on Wednesday to not being aboard the U.S. Air Force helicopter that was struck by rockets in 2003, or the ship Titanic that sank, or on the moon landing, as has been claimed for over a decade now. He only actually claimed about Iraq. I digress about the other things because I am a comedian, you know. So his award-winning coverage of Hurricane Katrina in 2005 and subsequent interviews are being called into question, and quite rightly so. Now, he claims to have seen a dead body float past the window of his 5-star hotel when he was staying in the French Quarter, but this is a case of the newsreader that cried wolf once again. So NBC News announced on Friday they are launching an investigation into Williams in light of his recanting his Iraqi story. And as we go to where he has also claimed that he is going to be on the next Luna module. No, not really. So he said, I would not have chosen to make this mistake. Well, obviously, he told Stars and Stripes magazine, I don't know what screwed up in my mind that caused me to conflate one aircraft with another. So what's your first reaction to this, Tyhe? Should we just be forgiving of Brian Williams, or should we be calling into question some of the other things that he has claimed?
Well, obviously, it's going to be natural, isn't it, now, to check out his other stories, because if he's embellished that one, it's very likely he's embellished others. But I
Absolutely.
think you can kind of sympathise in what I'm not for one second giving him an out clause here, but you can kind of sympathise. It must be really tempting to embellish. I mean, those kind of stories. I mean, I'm assuming, I don't know him, but I'm assuming he does put himself in danger. I mean, certainly news reporters here, put themselves in quite serious danger to report these sort of stories. So it must be tempting to embellish and say, I put myself in this situation and this happened. Because let's face it, as musicians, we hear these kind of things, and we've embellished things certainly when we were young. Although I'm not, I know he's not a young guy, but it must be tempting. It must be, just because of the situation he's in. Although, I mean, it was going to be sad now that it's going to damage any real work that he's done, because
Right.
obviously people are going to doubt everything he's done now. So it's kind of, it's put pay to all his work, which is a shame. Unless, of course, he's a stone-faced liar, in which case then it's a good thing. But to say I don't know what came over me, well, you lied, and that's what came over you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got caught, you got caught out, clearly, because if he didn't, he would have carried on. And there's a name for it as well. I can't think what it is at the minute, but people grandifying their stories, and it can become a bit of a problem as well. It can become a bit addictive.
Narcissistic personality disorder springs to mind.
Yeah, but it's not that. No, it's about, when somebody tells stories, it becomes becomes habitual, and it becomes a need
Right.
that people have. They embellish on their stories, and it goes from there. Really, it becomes a problem.
I kind of think there is a danger for any journalist, whether they be on TV or radio, if they don't check their facts. I mean, any story that we do on this show about any individual, I always check more than one news source, because news sources can be biased, as we've talked about in the past. But when you're talking about individuals, you could end up getting sued. But this is the thing for me as far as bragging and boasting and exaggerating. There's always going to be someone that was there and can reiterate the truth of that story. I mean, all the times we've worked together, if I said, "Oh yes, do you remember that time at in Earl's Court when the lights went out and I sang for 3 hours, sitting on a stool with my guitar, and while several angels and pop stars ran in and out." I mean, there are obviously people that could refute that story. I mean, I didn't do that. It was only 1 hour, and the lights didn't go out. They just didn't have a pound coin for the meter. But do you see what I mean? There's always someone there that can refute your version if it is even slightly warped or slanted.
Of course, and that's the problem, isn't it? When people get overly excited about things like that, it does backfire. It's bound to backfire eventually. But particularly, I mean, it's a bit bizarre as a news reader or a news reporter. I mean, how did he think he was going to get it? Of course, it's going to backfire because it's documented on an international level, surely. So, I mean, how difficult is it to?
Exactly, but part of it was, he was in the helicopter that was behind the one that was shot down, and yes, he did spend 3 nights in the desert, but it wasn't his helicopter that got shot down. It's like saying, I was in a car crash and it was a 28 car pileup when you've hit a cyclist that was going along the side of the road. I mean, to embellish that much. But you see, I think what happened is, he dug himself this big hole, and by the time he realized he couldn't get out of it, it actually took someone that was in that plane, that helicopter that got shut down, to say, wait a minute, I was in that and you weren't. To kind of open up this whole kind of worms. I mean, I am all for being forgiving. He did apologize, but his apology was a little kind of like, his apology was a bit half-assed. It wasn't so sincere. But I do see the point of view where people will be questioning other things that he has said, because if it's like the newsreader that cried wolf. If you've told. Yep. Whether you want to call it lies or whatever you want to call it, if you have misrepresented yourself in the past, what's to say that you're not misrepresenting yourself right now?
Well, absolutely, and that's the problem, isn't it? And there's the boy that cried wolf scenario. You're going to get people say, and it doesn't matter what he says from now on, people are going to be wanting to check it or just dismiss him out of hand, and that just seems a shame for his career. And particularly if he has been a genuinely good reporter. As I say, I don't know who he is. Over here, he's not known.
No.
And it's a bit of a tragedy, really.
Absolutely. And talking of insincere apologies, wasn't there something you wanted to say about the bane of our discursive lives?
It is, yes. As our listeners know, I like to comfort our little Justin, our little Bieber, who made an apology last week on YouTube to his fans, and I just rolled about the floor, having thrown I threw things that were gentle at my TV screen. I've never seen one of the most disingenuous apologies I have ever seen in my life to people. He was huddled over a little camera with his hood up in a darkened room, mumbling an apology to people, saying, I'm sorry if people think I'm arrogant and conceited. I don't want people to think that. Well, we do think that, Justin, because you're a little idiot who was driving allegedly under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And I'd just like to say, the only reason this little idiot is apologising to people, I am assuming, is because music sales have plummeted because of his behaviours. So basically,
I don't doubt it.
He's been spanked by his management, and they've said, get out there and do something about it. But this is a kid who knows exactly how to use the press, knows exactly how to use the media. So does his management. So instead of him going on to some TV show, like some decent show like Ellen, or speaking to Oprah, or whoever's out there, I don't know, David Letterman, whatever, or making a decent video facing his audience and saying, I behaved like an idiot and I'm sorry and it's not acceptable. No, he goes onto YouTube, mumbles this ridiculous little apology into a camera, which looks as well, for all intents and purposes, like he's mumbled it into his own phone, and that's all you get. And it's not acceptable, Justin. You're pathetic. And no, I'm not buying it. And I do think you're arrogant. I do think you're conceited. And the only reason you've done it is because record sales are down. And the reason that they're down, if they are, well, I'm sure they are, is because it's not trendy anymore. It's not acceptable. It's not clever to wander around being high or drunk, or whatever it is that you've got yourself into. Because it's not, Elvis died of it wasn't flattering or great, was it? People, and we're about to talk about another potential tragedy, allegedly with drugs. It's not clever, it's not funny. Parents don't want to see it. They don't want the kids glamorizing drugs and alcohol or behaving illegally. When he came out of the courthouse after he'd been arrested, waving at his fans arrogantly and conceitedly, thinking it was clever. Well, clearly people don't agree. And they're not getting away with it, as far as I'm concerned.
I totally see your point about parents not wanting to see their children following someone who glamorizes drugs and alcohol. I mean, certainly not drugs and alcohol at the same time. No, but seriously, I'll tell you who I I tell you who I blame for this, Ty. I think that the law enforcement has a lot to do with the reason why this is still going on. Because this is the thing. In my day, if you messed up like that, if any average 20-something-year-old like him went out and did what he did, even as a first offense, they would be in jail. And so if they cannot be if they can't be tough with him because he's got a celebrity status, what is ever going to change? Because this is the thing. If you're a celebrity and you think you can do what the hell you like, if you just keep getting slapped on the wrist, it is not going to be a deterrent to you. So whilst I think, Justin is totally to blame, some of that blame has to go to law enforcement because in this country, and I'm sure it's the same in the UK too, celebrities don't get what they deserve, especially in reference to legal matters, and they should, because what does this say to the nation's youth? That you can go out there and do these things and just get a little slap on the wrist. I mean, he's not even an American citizen, and he's doing all these things. Now, if that had been some Mexican person, and I'm just, please don't write in if you're Mexican. I'm not trying to be rude in any way, shape, or form. They would have kicked that Mexican's ass right back to Mexico.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and you're right. But we said this originally when he was arrested. He's going to get off with it. He's going to get a slap on the wrist and he's going to walk out of court. Where any normal unquote person would have served time probably, or certainly got a much more hefty penalty than he did. And it was twice it happened, wasn't it? And allegedly, the street was closed down either end, so he could drive down it as well. Potentially under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and it just carried on, and it went from one ridiculous thing to the other, and it was advertised in the press. Oh, Justin Bieber does this, Bieber does that, and again it was done like a brag, and nothing was done, and that's what young people are seeing. And then the next thing young people are copying it, or the next thing we hear
Absolutely.
is there's a some accident with guns, but hey, America, you want the right to bear arms. But it all snowballs from one direction. Not the band, by the way, sorry. And
oh gosh,
what
please, no.
No.
No, not One Direction. Don't start me up. You'll have me talking about this Sam Smith. Everybody's telling me. Somebody has said to me the other day, are you jealous of Sam Smith? No. Why would I be jealous of Sam Smith? So what? He has a recording contract. He's a karaoke singer, for God's sake.
Well, hasn't he? He's had to give up. He's had to give up royalties as well, hasn't he? To
Yes, I read something about that. He'd written a song, and some of the notes, or it sounded very much like something
Tom
by
Petty.
Was it Dylan or what?
No, Tom Petty.
Tom Petty. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So there you go. But he's very trendy at the minute because he's out. He's a gay singer. And there aren't many of them around, are there? That must be exciting. But there you go. So yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, I've been out. I've been out for the whole of my career. I've never denied my sexuality. I've always been totally open and honest about it. But I don't think it makes me better than anybody else. Surely, this is the thing. If you're a singer, what you do should be based on how well you sing, not your tales of woe, not your sexuality, not how sexy you are. If you want someone to come and fix your pipes, because they've burst, it's one thing if they're really sexy and they wear form-fitting T-shirts and anyway, that's enough of that. But really, you want them to be able to fix your pipes. Let's face it, at the end of the day, all of those things are just extras. But I'm sick of celebrities nowadays getting this free ride and being able to do and say what they please, and law enforcement is not so tough on them. because because the fact that they are a celebrity. I think in this day and age, everybody should be treated exactly the same. If you commit a crime, whether you're a celebrity or you're just Joe Schmo from down the street, you should be treated exactly the same. And Justin Bieber should be incarcerated right now for his behavior. I mean, this is a worry for me. I don't hate the kid. Good luck to him. He's managed to do something. Why waste all that? If you don't appreciate what you've got and you lose it, and you're out there taking drugs and glamorizing these things, and then feigning apologies, I just wonder what's next. I just worry they're going to find him in a hotel room, face down in a pool of vomit, dead, and that's a worry, because in this day and age, look at how many celebrities have gone that route. Get yourself sorted out, Justin. Call us on the show. We'll help you. And that wasn't a joke.
Absolutely.
That was serious.
Yeah, I'm happy to have a chat with you as a 10-year veteran drug counsellor, and it's also somebody who knows how to get stains out of bedclothes. We can advise you either way.
Just let's give out the number if anybody dares to call, because I think people are a bit afraid of us, Ty. I think we've got a bad rep because we're nice people, really. You can call us on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061 with your comments, questions. Tell us what you think about what Justin Bieber has been up to, and what you think the consequences should be for Justin Bieber. Now, I have to say, Ty, and I'm sure you would agree with me, we don't keep up this tirade with Justin Bieber because we hate him or we want to hurt him or we're jealous of him. It's genuine concern, isn't it? Be honest.
No, well, of course it is. But I mean, occasionally I want to slap him. But are you getting feedback from me? I'm suddenly getting feedback into my earphones.
No, you don't sound feedbacky, but it's Blog Talk. Hey, we just have to. I told people last week we are in the process of looking for a new station to broadcast from, because we're just not happy with the standards, the fact that we can't get the show up on iTunes all the time, and things like that. So we are in the process of moving to somewhere that is a lot better. So apologies for any audio issues. And that wasn't Ty farting 5 minutes ago. It was an audio issue, I assure you.
No, that's okay, as long as it's not affecting the show. I can deal with listening to myself. I've had to do it for a long year. But no, I'm not. I don't have personal issues with him. It annoys me we've said before, actually. I think the first time I went on this tirade about him, what concerned me more than anything was the fact that he was clearly, or it didn't seem that he had any support around him. His own parents even seemed to be letting him run riot. And his management clearly would let him do that because there's no such thing as bad advertising. And what really concerned me is what you've just said. If he was allowed to run riot, the danger is, of course, he's going to hurt himself or other people for that matter. Driving if he is driving under the influence of anything, potentially could hurt others. But yeah, the main concern was that he's going to do something stupid and harm himself. So yeah, of course, the main concern is him. But having said that, is this idea that he can get away with things. And when I saw that apology, it just made me angry because it was so disingenuous. And if you're going to tell people that you're stepping up and accepting responsibility, then do that. Step up and accept responsibility and take ownership of your behaviour. That's what being an adult is.
Absolutely, and there's no forgiveness without repentance. And if you're sorry, then don't do it again. When I was a kid, if I did something wrong, I would say, "Sorry, Mommy," and she'd say, "Well, if you're sorry, Xander, don't do it again." Yeah. So Justin, if you're sorry, don't do it again. It's that simple.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it is that simple, and it's not rocket science really. And he's not a child anymore. I mean, I know he's only 20, 21, but that's not a child.
No.
He's old enough now to understand how he would feel if somebody behaved that way towards him. So as far as I'm concerned, you can make that differential. You know how to change that.
Absolutely. So from one young person to another, Whitney Houston's daughter, Bobby Christina, who lies in a medically induced coma after being found unresponsive in her bathtub recently. Well, apparently, the longer the 21-year-old remains in the coma, the more likely it will be that she will not regain consciousness. Drug overdose was suspected, and local police have executed a search warrant and swept the house for drugs as they continue their ongoing investigation into what happened in her home. Now, it's been almost 3 years since her mom died of accidental drowning on February 11, 2012. The effects of heart disease and cocaine use also contributed to her death. Now, Bobby Christina Brown's incident comes 2 weeks after Lifetime aired the Angela Bassett-directed biopic Whitney, and people are saying that they feel that this has kind of been a catalyst for those things, for the things that have happened since. Now, what's your initial reaction to this situation, Ty?
Well, when I heard it on the news, because obviously it's international news, and when I heard it on the news, it was just heartbreaking. Because they didn't need to say anything other, when they said, she'd been rushed into hospital, and I just thought, oh my God, this is just too much. It's another heartbreaking family, isn't it? And you're just waiting for the next headline, aren't you, to be that awful
exactly
headline, that she hasn't made it, and just all that heartbreak in that family, and how horrible it was to watch such a successful and originally happy woman just plummet, and obviously her daughter, her baby, saw that happen, and it looks like she's going the same way. And what do you do? Because all you want to do is reach out to her and people in that situation, and you can't, because when somebody's in that hole, in that darkness, they've got to be ready to reach out to you, to somebody, and you've got to wait until they're in that space. Well, you can obviously there are more aggressive ways of doing things, but unfortunately, she's already done the damage. So we've got to wait to see now if they've got her in time, or whether the damage is done and she's not going to make it. But it's just that horrible place, isn't it? And what her father's going through now, and what her family's going through, but what a horrible space she must have been in the first place, when you heard it in the news, it was awful.
Have they shown the biopic in the UK yet? They showed it here a couple of weeks ago, and I watched it, and obviously, the events of Whitney Houston's life, most people know. She was discovered in church. She was a church girl, and then she got a recording contract and was Miss Clean personified, and then she hooked up with Bobby Brown. I'm not saying the drug situation was totally his fault, but what I didn't like about the way that this was portrayed, it was like Saint Bobby Brown, and that she was kind of like as bad, if not worse, than him. And I think that's the trouble with any biopic, that the interpretation of someone's life is exactly that. That is only an interpretation. And I know that Bobby Brown was involved in the making of that movie, even just on a consultancy basis.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I actually had to stop watching it because it was vomit rendering, to make him out to be like a saint. Because he wasn't. He was a bad boy. He was a white boy. And I think some people came away from that thinking that she did drugs before she met Bobby Brown, and I highly doubt that. Because when she first came along, do you remember that first album she did? She was the shyest young thing ever. It was all about the music.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm not saying it was all Bobby Brown's fault, I resent the way that he was painted in this movie as being, pure and chaste. When we know that that wasn't the case.
Well, I think the problem is, isn't it, that, let's say out loud, God knows there's enough people consuming right now. He's the one that's still alive and he's the one that's wielding the hammer. So he's basically the one that can turn around and say, yes, you can make this movie, but you're going to do it my way. And certainly his reputation was very dark over here as well as there. When they first got together, it didn't go down well at all with fans. He wasn't popular. He wasn't liked as a musician here. So to say, yes, she was. I mean, also, I have to be fair, I suppose, to be balanced. She might have been on drugs before she got with him. I mean, she's a musician, and as we know, in our profession, it's really not difficult to get hold of drugs.
How many times a night, Tyhe? How many times on a night, Tyhe? We've worked together lots of times. How many times were we offered cocaine?
Oh my God, more times than I was offered water. I mean, yeah, I didn't have to leave the dressing room. I could have sat there and it was like Colombia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, there is no, we don't know whether she started using or she dabbled before she met him, but it's certainly one of the most dramatic coincidences that she met him and suddenly became a complete addict, isn't it? Really, that's all I'm saying.
Right.
That he had no influence over that. I find that very hard to believe. Just by the evidence itself, is what happened. They got together. She became a huge drug addict. I mean, where was his intervention if that's the case? And if he's saying he did intervene, he did a very poor job. So,
and like you
I
said,
haven't
the daughter she's seen all of this growing up. All of her life, she's seen this.
Of course, she'll have seen the behaviours, with downers and uppers and the schizophrenic behaviour that causes, and the depression that causes, the bipolar attitudes to things, and those, the cravings and the withdrawals and God knows what else, and the fights that'll bring on, So she's grown up with all that, and you can't hide that. I mean, drug addicts, same as alcoholics, always think they're hiding things from people. They think they're really good at that, and they're actually really terrible at it. Apart from, the only thing they're good at hiding is the drugs or the alcohol. But certainly not the mood, So she's grown up, she's seen all that. And of course, we don't know what her issues are. Being affected by that.
I mean, apparently she contacted Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett is the actress who played Tina Turner in the movie What's Love Got to Do with It. And she put all of this together, and apparently she contacted Angela Bassett, this is Bobby Christina, and she felt that she was the one that should play her mother in the biopic. And I understand why they didn't, because A, she didn't look like her, B, it was they didn't use recordings of Whitney singing. It was actually the actress singing. And I don't think that Bobby Christina was, she couldn't cut it as Whitney, I don't think. So I totally get that. But apparently people said that really broke her to not be able to play her mother in the biopic. Right. But I'm not so sure it wouldn't have been worse for her to actually do it. I mean, if you're so affected by what has gone on, to actually do it, to play that out, I just wonder how that would have affected her. But I am very sad. I mean, it is a sad legacy. But what really bothers me is, on the same day that this happened, people were saying on Twitter, people were joking about it and saying, "Oh, that family really needs to start taking showers," and it's not funny,
No,
a girl is lying in a coma. Go on.
It's comedy, isn't it? Though, I suppose. I mean, look at Joan Rivers with Twin Towers, and we've mentioned before. They're going to go for it, aren't they? Because it's an easy target and it's an international target. But no, it's not funny. Of course, it's not. It's a girl who lost her mother, who was one of the most famous singers in the world. But it's inevitable that they're going to go. But let's just hope she's okay. Well, she's not going to be okay. She's going to be damaged forever. But you know what I mean? I mean, let's hope she survives this.
Absolutely.
It's not looking good right now, is it?
Our thoughts and prayers go out to Bobby Christina's family today. And I don't know, I just hope for the best. But the longer she stays in a coma, the worse it actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, but having said that, some people have been in a coma for 20 years and come out and have been like, it's been like the day after,
Yeah.
But there's also the other issue to
I
take into account with this is that she was without she must have been unresponsive for 3 to 5 minutes, and the brain cells die when there's no oxygen getting to them.
Yeah, but I mean, that's maybe why they've induced a coma. But we don't know. I mean, there's no point speculating about the hospital. But I mean, certainly they've induced coma to let the body rest in the brain. So, to stop any more damage being done. So, let's see. Let's hope it works.
Absolutely.
Xander, while you introduce the next piece, right? I'm going to really quickly disconnect to call you straight back immediately. Yeah.
All right, no problem.
Okay, because I'm getting really bad feedback, and I've just got a horrible feeling that the viewers are having to listen to me twice. The listeners,
right.
Which is a fate that nobody should have, but also it's kind of, it's going to be a downer on the show, because it only started happening in this second section.
Listening to you once, Tyhe, is quite enough, I assure you.
It is, and even even my former partners would, I wouldn't wish that on them. Well, I might actually. So I'm literally just going to disconnect and call straight back.
Certainly one of them. Certainly one of them I can think of. Absolutely. So Olympic champion turned star of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Bruce Jenner, is apparently to soon come out as transgender. Jenner, 65, will apparently be opening up in a forthcoming interview with ABC News, and his 88-year-old mother, even, Esther, who lives in Idaho, said she just learned about her son's gender transition and is behind him all of the way. Bruce has been lying low ahead of the premiere of a documentary that will reportedly chronicle his gender transition speculation that the actor, race car enthusiast, and 1976 Montreal Summer Olympics decathlon gold medalist is undergoing a sex change has been rich fodder for supermarket tabloids for months. In late January, Jenner was seen emerging from a Beverly Hills clinic with a bandage around his neck, presumably after surgery to flatten his Adam's apple. Now, he and Chris have 2 daughters, but they obtained a divorce in December 2014, 14 months after separating, although he has been seen still wearing his wedding ring. I'm wondering what his lady name will be. Now, we found out last night that he walked away from a free 3-car pileup due to being chased by the paparazzi, and I really wonder what the helicopter is going to happen next. Now, my big beef with this story is that, and I'm sure Tyhe will agree with me with this, is that the fact that the LGBTQ community, LGBTQ standing for lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender, and questioning, the gay community, basically, they demand the right to be taken seriously and demand the right of equality. But I'm really disappointed that the gay scene has been the first ones to make negative commentary about this person's coming out. Now, let's face it, Tyhe, he's 65. I say he because he's still a man. He's 65, so he must have lived with this all his life. And the response of some of the gay scene has been to make light of it. What's your initial response to all of this, Tyhe?
I think it's really, really sad that the gay community has chosen to do that. But occasionally, I'm afraid I become a little bit homophobic, because this is the reason that people find it easy to turn on us. We give them ammunition.
Right.
Because what happens is we decide, we start ridiculing ourselves, or we start attacking ourselves, and how does that look to the rest of the world? But then I find a lot of the time that the only time the gay community truly stands with itself is when it suits it.
Right.
And I'm committing suicide here, really, aren't I? But stuff it, it's true.
No, because I'm agreeing with you totally.
and when it doesn't suit it, well, then that's okay, it's fine, anybody's free range, and that's how it goes. So to add the T, I mean, the gay community decided to add the T to LGBT, so for then to ridicule somebody who's transgender or is going through the transgender changing is just not acceptable, and it's a low blow, and it leaves the gay community lacking, and it's disappointing to say the least, and it's unacceptable, and this should be embarrassed.
Absolutely, and I think one of the big concerns for me, we've known each other for over 25 years, and we've known many people that have transitioned, and whether they've gone from male to female or female to male, we have afforded them the same level of support and friendship that they had before they transitioned. So kind of why would that change? And what really kind of infuriates me is that, here's this man in the spotlight, and he's actually gonna undergo his change in the spotlight, but surely the reason why he's kind of sharing his transition is because he wants to help other people that might be in the same position that he's been in for 65 years, stuck in the wrong body. And I think that it's kind of admirable that Bruce Jenner is kind of doing this so publicly. I mean, this car crash this weekend was because he was being chased by the media. I mean, leave him the hell alone. If he wants to talk about it, that's one thing. But don't chase him in cars with cameras, because look what happened with Princess Diana. She is dead because the paparazzi drove her off the road. They followed her, and the car ended up off the road. And shouldn't we have learned something from that, Tyhe?
Well, absolutely, but we never will we? I mean, the idea that they can trace you down like a criminal is ridiculous. And you're right. I mean, it's going to be traumatic enough for him at 65. I mean, it must be traumatic enough for any transgender person to start going through that change and telling friends and loved ones, look, this is how it is. Well, I remember one of my friends, about 13, 14 years ago, who remain nameless, but he knows who he is anyway, who told us when he was that he was going to go through the change and become the man he is today, who is a fabulous a father now, and that was scared to death of how we would react, and was really, really terrified. And I know how he felt. And so to go through all that is bad enough, but to be in the public eye as much as he already is, and to be hounded by the press, and then now to be hounded by the gay community is massive, So I mean, I think the least we can do is let him know that some of us are supporting him, and because I can't imagine what that kind of pressure is, to be sitting on his shoulders, on top of finally after 65 years, well, it wouldn't be 65 years, but finally after all those years of living a lie, finally saying, hello world, this is the real me. I can't imagine. I mean, it must be fantastic as well to be able to do that, but I can't imagine what that must be like. So yeah, leave the man alone.
Why do you think the community, as a whole, let alone the gay community, have this need to respond in this way? Someone asked me a few years ago. A friend of mine was, a friend of theirs' father was transitioning from male to female. Their exact words were, if your dad was a tranny and was going to have it cut off, what would you do? And my first response was, well, I think, I would have to take him clothes shopping to begin with. I mean, obviously after the initial shock. My friend was kind of surprised by that level of response, but why is it mankind has to hate people for not being what they want them to be, Why is that?
if we could answer that question, we'd be very, very wealthy people. You know, I have no idea because it's fear, isn't it? Though it's fear. I think it's fear of oneself.
I think so too.
Because when somebody looks at you and says, "I'm making this change because I'm going to be myself. I'm no longer afraid, and this is the change I'm going to make," I think it makes you look inward, doesn't it? I mean, you've got to look at yourself and think, "Wow, hang on. So where am I in all this? Where do I stand in all this? Who am I?"
Right. Exactly.
And it leaves you lacking, I suppose. But it's fear, isn't it? I mean, that's how we get into all these wars and things. It's a want in people, and it's a sense of in some people that's where that rage comes from. That's where that sense of superiority comes from. When in actual fact it's inferiority. It's that need to be able to look down on others.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know for a fact that there are lots of men out there that are seemingly heterosexual that are actually gay but cannot come out as gay or cannot let anybody know about their sexuality for whatever reason. I mean, I think society has changed immensely in the past 30 years, but it has a lot more changing to do. Because I don't know the statistics, but every year there are a number of transsexuals that actually get killed, for being transsexual. And I'm just aghast that someone would want to kill someone because they wanted to be whole. And I applaud people like Laverne Cox, who is openly transsexual. She's in the TV show Orange is the New Black, and she's gorgeous. She's a tall lass, and she's really pretty. But she uses her position in life that she's managed to achieve, and quite rightly so. She's a good actress, but she uses her platform to highlight the problems faced by transsexuals in today's society. And I think, I kind of despair. I said we've come so far, but we're still so damn archaic in other aspects. Because what does it do to my life for the guy if the guy up the street comes to the conclusion that he's a transsexual and wants to be a woman? How does that affect my life?
Well,
because I really am at a loss to know.
But I mean, look at the rest. I mean, just life in general, though, Xander. I mean, look at how much has to change. I mean, now it's legal. In Scotland now, I can marry my partner, and I have just the same rights as a heterosexual couple when I do marry. But there's still homophobia on the streets. But gay people are still being attacked. Not necessarily in Scotland, but I mean, it's happening. But then just take it back to a basic level. Racism is still rife in the world. Black people are still attacked simply because they're black, because white people think they're better. And how long has that been going on? So God only knows when. Well, forget God, but you know what I mean. Goodness only knows when transgender people will be accepted, and unisex people will be accepted, and non-specific, non-gender. I mean, and gay people. When people of colour are still threatened simply because of the colour of their skin. So just heaven knows.
Go on, sorry. So just to expand on your example of racism. Now, when we've been in company and people have used the N-word, they're not so polite in the UK. If they're even reiterating a story and say, "Oh yeah," and he turn around and call them the M-word, they'll say the word. But here, it's just as rude to say it. We have been in company when people have said the N-word, and we jump on it right away. Now, don't you think? And please don't write to me and tell me it's wrong of me to consider racism next to, I suppose you would call it transsexualism, but it is a similar ideology. Shouldn't we, as good people, jump on that right away when people are behaving in that manner? Shouldn't we have something to say about it? Because if you don't challenge it, aren't you part of the problem?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we would jump on homophobia, we would jump on misogyny, or we should be. We should be jumping on all of these things and saying that's not acceptable. I pull up friends and I pull up people if they call people junkies, because of my job. I'm like, no, don't use that word. It's not acceptable to me. It's not accurate. I'm not having it. I won't have any kind of racist talk in my presence. I won't have women denigrated in my presence. So, and I certainly won't tolerate homophobia in my presence. Why would I? So yeah, of course we should be saying that's not acceptable. What are you talking about? But again, that's changing from within, isn't it? And that's changing society. But I mean, I suppose things are changing. So, one of the good things that's happening in our lifetime is that religion's losing its grip, and I think that's one of the big, yeah, absolutely. But that's one of the big reinforcers of hatred. So as that fades, I think other things will fade with it.
Well, just look at
so
the
I think
Pope.
That will make things easier.
Just look at the new Pope. When he was first, whatever it is, popeized or ordained, whatever you want to call it, he was very pro the LGBT community. But clearly that was an act. Clearly that was an attempt to actually get more people. You did, and I don't know. There is a part of me that wants to see the good in people, but it was just clearly just a ruse to kind of get people on side. But you know me, Tyhe. I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in God. I believe in trying to be the best human being that you can be. But what I'm about is nothing to do with religion. Absolutely not. Because if you sit there and tell me that your God hates me for who I am, I have to turn my back right away, because that's not the God that I know and love. Now, I know you're an atheist, but you still kind of respect the rights of others to
absolutely.
have these beliefs.
Yeah, of course I do, because as far as I'm concerned, if you are channeling positive energy and your energy says, I will love people as I love myself, then you are welcome in my life. I don't care what you call it.
Right.
But you're right. As soon as you say to me, my God is better than your God, and he's telling me to hate you, then I'm telling you, you're an idiot. And you're a dangerous, and I don't want you in my life. And
exactly.
And so,
but
that's doesn't it? That's it. That's simple it is in my life.
Don't you end up then, Tyhe, with friends that are like-minded? Because I wouldn't have people in my group, in my close circle, that behave that way, and I know for a fact you wouldn't too.
No.
We've been friends with each other for 25 years, and so we've shared a lot of friends, and none of the friends that are friends of yours and friends of mine would dare behave in that way.
No,
not because they're better than anybody else. Yeah, exactly. And I think ultimately what you put out there in the universe, other people see. And so I think that it's about time people, especially, yes, I'm talking to you, the LGBTQ community out there, the gay community, get your asses in line and start supporting the trans community, and stop with this negativity about people, looking to change their life. And if you can't deal with that, go and bug somebody else, frankly. That's my response to you. If you can't support the trans community and you consider yourself to be a part of the LGBTQ community, then you're not welcome. Is that bad?
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
No, that's fair. We're either one or we're not. And I don't see how you could possibly have that two ways. So we're either a community or we're not. You can't have half a community, can you? I don't think there's a word for that, is there? Broken is the word for that.
Exactly. So I am setting you a challenge. If you, as a gay person, demand certain rights and acceptance, then make sure that you endow that to others.
Yeah. Well, it's get back to it. I mean, that's one thing from the Bible, isn't it? Spiritual. Do unto those as you would have those do unto you.
Exactly. So, it didn't say except transsexuals, did it?
No.
It didn't say do unto others except transsexuals. It said do unto others as you would have done to you.
Yeah.
We are going to have someone on in the next few weeks. What?
Keep your shit nice.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to have someone on in the next few weeks from the trans community to talk about this, because I think everybody expects, because I'm openly gay, that my show should only have gay stuff on it, and we decided a long time ago that we wanted the show to be all encompassing, and in that being all encompassing, we have to kind of include everybody, and that includes transsexuals.
Absolutely. And
Wouldn't it be great? Go on.
No, I'm good. Yeah, no, go on. That's fine.
No, I was going to say, wouldn't it be great to have Laverne Cox on? I don't think she listens to the show, but if anybody knows Laverne Cox out there, we would love you, Laverne, to come on the show and to educate us a little on embracing our transsexual brothers and sisters. Oh, yes, we would.
Absolutely.
So we're just waiting for our guests to come on, but I'll do the next intro. Are you sticking around for a while, Tyhe, or are you?
I'm going to. I'm really sorry. I'll say hi, but I'm literally going to say hi, guys, and go, because every time I speak, I feel like I'm swallowing a razor blade, and I've still got the feedback, and it's driving me nuts because it's actually worse than it was before.
No problem.
And I don't know.
Well, I'm going to do this intro.
I want to say hello.
Absolutely. I'm going to do the intro, and then I am going to play the song. So, Underpup are an NYC band with a unique take on the music scene. We are joined today by two of its members, Terry and Maureen. They shone on my TV show, and now they're going to join us for the first time on the radio. Now, before I bring them on, let's take a listen to their groove. This song is February by Underpup, and if I can find it, because I have to do everything on the show, it is here. I think I know where it is. yes, indeed, that was February by Underpup, and I have the pleasure of welcoming Terry to the show, and Maureen's going to join us when she can get through on the line. So welcome to the show, Terry. How you doing?
Very good. Thanks for having me on, Xander. Very good.
It's a pleasure to have you on. You're on the line with myself and my co-host, Tyhe. So give us a little bit of background about the song February. How did it come about? What's it about? And what does it mean to you?
You know, February is a song I wrote, not actually during the month of February, but, you know, very much the feelings of February and that time in winter when people
right.
When people are kind of jonesing for the spring, you know, and they're really looking forward to the spring. And I always found February to be kind of a short month, of course, Black History Month, and among other things. But I always found it to be like a time of year where in the winter, you know, people are agitated and they're feeling like they're looking forward to spring. So there's like some doubts. And, I don't know, it might have been a relationship issue when I wrote the song too, but you know, it's interesting because people say, oh, well, you know, I don't really feel that down in February necessarily, but, you know, that's the origin of the song, really.
Yeah, I think most people can associate with that right now because it's freezing cold everywhere, mountains of snow, and I alluded. Yeah, exactly. At the beginning of the show, it's like, you know, I'm sick of the snow. I'm sure Tyhe can agree with that too. Is it snow in Glasgow right now, Tyhe?
Hi Terry. We got
Hi, Tyhe, yeah.
snowed. We've been snowed in twice in Glasgow, but then it's Scotland. We're famous for the snow. And I have to apologise. I've just kind of stayed for this part to just say hi, Terry. I'd really like the song, by the way. But as you can hear, I've got a voice like a $10 hooker at Halloween. So I'm gonna disappear in a minute because I actually feel like I'm swallowing razor blades.
Well, thanks for sticking around for just a minute, Tyhe, and I'm looking forward to you know, checking your stuff out pretty soon too myself. But yeah, it was good hearing you guys the first hour.
You were listening. Oh my God! But I will. I was going to say I will catch up the next time you're on the show. I promise I'll stay and I'll chat. But I did want to say hi. I just wanted to know and wanted to hear the track. So I'm just going to leave you in the capable hands of Xander and have a good show. Okay, guys.
Thanks for joining us today, Tyhe, and hope you feel better very soon. And we will catch you next time you're on the show. Have a great week.
Okay. Thanks. Take care, Terry.
Yeah, take care, Tyhe.
Dude, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so tell us a little bit about because it's your band name is Underpup. Where does that come from? Where did you get the name Underpup from?
Underpup originates with my childhood love of the cartoon Underdog, and you know, it's basically Underdog before he grows up. But I mean, you know, it's like I'm starting this rock thing kind of late in life. I mean, you know, so odds stacked against me, but you know, that's how I feel. I feel like behind the eight ball sometimes in some situations, and Underpup is a representation of that. You know, scrappy,
right.
Still fighting, doing our thing. You know, that's basically what it means.
Absolutely. So do you write the songs you, or do you write them as a group? What's your process? Do you find the music first? Do you get the lyric? How does it flow for you?
The process is really evolving. Originally, when I got together with Dave and Maureen, I'd come in with ideas, and I guess like I was saying on your TV show, I know this is for another audience, but like I was saying on the TV show, basically I'd come in with these ideas that were, you know, kind of poppy, kind of staid, and Dave's offbeat drumming would give a spark to it. So it is really a collaborative effort. I mean, originally I would come in with ideas, and then, like I was saying to you earlier in an email, Maureen, hopefully she joins us soon, but she actually wrote the bass line for February, and the original bass line for the Ghost Ball song, but it's definitely like maybe I'll come in and then we collaborate. But lately on the stuff that we're going to be recording on the new project, it's mostly from rehearsal jams. So it's really three people coming together and you know, just seeing what happens, which is how I see a band anyway. So it's evolving nicely.
I think a lot of bands write that way and really kind of come up with something really good from just jamming, basically. I know that a lot of the things that I've been involved with, you know, I can just sit with a group of musicians, they play something, and I can make up words to it. And I was surprised to find that lots of bands are kind of work on that ethos too.
I think so. I think, like, to continue with your question, I think usually, like, maybe a chord or a melody will come to me first, as in the case of February. And then for me, most times, maybe the lyrics come later, depending on what those chords or what that melody, what that feeling evokes. You know, that's when the lyrics come. Yeah.
So who influences you? Who did you grow up listening to? And who would you say the Underpup is like?
Underpup's a smattering of things. I mean, when I was growing up in the 70s, a lot of friends would attest to this. I would say, like, in the States, what we had here was called AM Gold. And it was, you know, the radio stations, WABC, those stations would play everything. I mean, you'd hear Motown, you'd hear rock, you'd hear pop, you'd hear country, but all on one station. So I just, like, songcraft got to me. I mean, you know, you'd hear these things that were basically what you'd call, like, maybe yacht rock now, kind of smooth stuff, along with the Motown stuff. And then when I got to college, then, you know, I guess, you know, rock radio hit me. WNEW was a big station in New York City at that time. And maybe some of your listeners out there, if they're in the New York area, will remember that radio station. Played a lot of, like, progressive rock, you know, the Who, Jimi Hendrix, all that stuff. But yeah, being in college, that's when I got the rock influence, and I felt like, well, rock can be just about anything. And
so is that what you classify yourself as, a rock group? It's hard to put a finger on it, but it's songcraft. Oh, sorry, Xander, what were you saying? Oh no, sorry, I was just asking if you would classify yourself as a rock group.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, definitely. It's rock. It's pretty straightforward rock. But you know, songcraft first. And I think on this latest project, maybe we dialed back some of the harder stuff. The latest project that we're going to be recording soon, dialed back some of the harder rock stuff. But yeah, I would classify us as rock because I don't think it really can be pigeonholed. I mean, you know, right now. According to Gene Simmons, rock is dead. But I mean, I guess that's the case. But you know, that kind of rock is dead, but not the overall thing that can be a whole lot of things. You know?
Right. Absolutely. So at this point in the show, what we're going to do, I'm not sure if we're going to get Maureen to call in, but if you're listening out there, Maureen, it's 347-884-9061. We're going to do something called the Quick Fire Questions Round, and simply I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes into your head, whatever that might be. And remember, the ideology is that it's quick fire, so I don't need chapter and verse, just very quick answers.
Fun.
Okay, so let's start. What question do you most hate to be asked?
Take out the garbage.
Okay, will you take out the garbage?
I will, but you know.
Yeah, I'll give you my address after the show, Terry, and you can come and take it out for me.
Yeah,
all right,
who
is your idol? What?
Idol?
Yes.
Combination of Jimi Hendrix and Michael Jackson.
Okay, favorite TV show?
Whoa, that's tough. That's a tough one. Like right now, I'm watching Arrow. I watched way too much TV. I'd say at the moment, right now, Arrow.
Right. Tacos or sushi?
Tacos today.
Madonna or Lady Gaga?
Madonna, come on.
Worst movie you ever saw? And don't dare say anything that I've been in.
Whoa. Wow, that's tough. Let me see.
You can say pass. We'll give you a. You can say pass.
Pass for now. Yeah, that's a good question, but tough one.
All right, Walking Dead or Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad. Even though I'm going to be watching Walking Dead tonight, Breaking Bad all the way.
Yeah, me too. Don't forget, folks, the season starts tonight, 9:00. You find $50 in church. Do you A, keep it, B, give it to the minister, or C, do you give it to the homeless guy outside?
Homeless guy outside.
For sure. Paper
For
or
sure.
plastic?
Unfortunately, it's plastic. I really should start doing the paper, but yeah, it's plastic right now.
Which celebs?
Shame on me.
Shame on you, Terry. Which three celebs, living or dead, would you invite to dinner, and what would you serve?
I'd invite Jimi Hendrix, and I'd serve udon.
Right, that's one celebrity. I love udon noodles. Where can you get udon noodles to cook yourself? This is the question of the day. All right, two more celebrities. Who are the other two that you would, would Jimi Hendrix be enough?
Oh wait, there were three celebrities, huh?
Yeah.
Living or dead.
Yeah.
All right. Hendrix, Michael Jackson, and the third. Wow, that's tough. Marvin Gaye.
Xander Gibb.
Yeah, Marvin Gaye, no question.
Marvin Gaye. Okay. The Cosbys or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah, right now it's Fresh Prince. You know.
Would you like this drink, Terry? Would you like
Huh?
a sip of this drink? Would you like a sip of this drink?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
It's a Cosby joke. Okay, Oprah or Dr. Phil?
Oprah.
Least favorite movie?
Oh, that's right. We got to get back to this. That's the worst. Least favorite. Ooh, pass. It's hard.
Okay. Madonna and Lady Gaga are drowning. Whose head do you take your foot off first?
Madonna.
Okie dokie. If you found a coin with the date 10 BC on it, would it be authentic?
No.
Exactly. Which celebrity could you willingly slap?
Willingly slap. Wow, you guys were talking about Bieber earlier. I got to say him. You know, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you know, I just a segue here. I mean, you know, I was listening to you guys' discussion on Bieber, and I think, you know, my heart goes out to that kid. I think he's trying to do a lot of things. Maybe to kind of try and tie himself to a former generation of like pop or rock star that kind of moved on. But I think you need to do it more in the music and less in the behavior. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Favorite TV Muppet?
Animal.
You know, it's funny. Everybody says animal. That's it's really funny that everybody comes to the same conclusion. And the final question. Go on.
Go ahead.
No, go on. You think it's because?
No, I think it's because people can't remember the names of those two old guys in the balcony.
Right. Oh, wait a minute. I think this might be. I think this might be Maureen, but let me ask you the final question, and then we'll bring her on for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Law and Order, Criminal Intent, or Special Victims?
Not a big Law and Order fan, man. I know it's been 20 years, and I know they give a lot of actors breaks, but not a big fan. But
Really?
I'll say the original. Martin.
You call yourself a New Yorker, and you're not a Law and Order fan.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
right.
call Bill de Blizzardio and get you kicked out, Terry. And that was the final.
And give
that
him
was the final question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring Mo on. Hi, Maureen.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good. I'm walking down Franklin.
You're out and about in the cold, talking to us on the radio.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we're glad she made it on.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got like 5 minutes to go, but I want to know, Maureen, what are your influences? Who kind of really speaks to you musically?
Musically? I'll say recently I heard I was listening to Eno and Bowie, Low, and those were like really pretty awesome abstract layers that I like to explore.
You mean as in Brian Eno?
Yes.
Right, the guitarist from Queen. Because you play bass too, is that right?
Yes.
And you wrote the bass line for February.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I read the notes. I'm not psychic. Don't worry. Why is the thrill of performing for you? And do you feel like each time you perform, do you feel like it gets easier or harder, or does it depend on the crowd?
I think it depends on the sound system, actually, because it
Right.
gives you more confidence or less confidence depending on if there's technical difficulties.
She's right.
Yeah, because I could go in there and be super confident, and then it sounds so staticky, and you're just like, oh, how am I gonna fix it?
I totally get that. And as a singer and a musician myself, I've actually been to venues, done a run through to begin with, and actually left because the sound system is so bad. And this ideology that if you're a professional you can work with any system is BS. Because let's face it, if you are going to be working on a bad system, that will not make you sound good, and people will think it's
no matter
you
how,
and not.
Yeah. No matter how hard you try, yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us, and I'm going to ask you this too, Terry. What kind of horror stories have you found at some venues? Let's start with Terry. Tell us your biggest horror story. You don't have to name the venue because I know you're probably going to work there again, but tell us what your biggest horror story has been.
First of all, I'll say venues in the last 5 to 6 years, the sound overall has gotten much, much better. But I will say maybe it happened kind of recently when they kind of sandwiched us on in between a really, really nice act, a really good act that went overtime, and they told me I had to get all my gear together in 5 minutes to play a show. That was kind of horrific because he didn't even give us the full 45 minutes. Won't name the venue, but otherwise good sound. Go ahead, Mo.
Great. Well, let's face it. Anyone who knows anything about sound knows that for $500 you can get a relatively good PA package. So don't tell me that these places can't afford it, because if you can't afford a good PA system, don't be having live music on. So Maureen, what about you? What's your biggest horror story from venues?
There was this venue that was very echoey, and it just didn't work with the sound because I don't know if their PA and the walls, the position and the walls, it was just bouncing, and I couldn't hear myself between all the reverb.
Wow, that's a nightmare. I went to a gig once when I lived in England, and this is one of the ones I couldn't do. It was in a place called Southampton, and I went in, and their sound system consisted of 200 mini speakers, like the speakers you would have at home for your CD player, 200 of those behind the wall. And anytime around the wall, and anytime they turned up the volume, the system cut out, and I was like, I can't do this. It's just It's a joke, really. So it's a lesson to make sure people get their sound system sorted out before they invite professional musicians to play. So tell us where you're going to be playing at soon. What's your next venue? Where's your next gig?
I'd just say real quick, we're kind of taking the month of February off, because February being you heard the song, but we're taking the month of February off as far as playing's concerned. But
right.
We'll be playing March 24th, Tuesday, March 24th at the Delancey. They have good sound there. We'll be playing at 8 p.m. And in the meantime,
where's the venue?
Huh?
Where is the Delancey?
Yeah, it's at the foot of the Williamsburg Bridge. And don't quote me on this because I get this address mixed up with Trash Bar, rest in peace. But it's on Delancey Street, and I think it's 168 Delancey Street at the foot of the Williamsburg Bridge, F train, Tuesday, March 24th, 8 o'clock.
We will endeavor to plug that for you. If you remember to send me an email the week before, we'll put it in our
newsletter. people should come out because Maureen is coming into her own as a singer. She's really sounding good, like as a singer. And you know, in the coming months, we're looking to like put some of that down on like a recording, you know. So
Brilliant.
So come on out.
Will you make sure to come back and share with us when your new album's coming out?
No question.
Brilliant. Where can people find your music? Where can they buy your music?
Well, yeah. I mean, that one self-produced project is on iTunes, but and Bandcamp, you know, Underpup Bandcamp. But yeah, keep an eye out for the new stuff because it's going to include like more of us. You know,
absolutely,
like singing from everybody. Maybe we'll get
Maureen, tell us where people can find you on the interweb. Tell us where your website is and where you are on Facebook and Twitter.
So on Facebook,
me specifically, or just the band? The band is on Facebook. Yes.
Yeah. And we're
right.
on Twitter.
Okay. What's your?
Oh, go ahead.
What's your website address?
Well, yeah. They should come to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Underpup.
Absolutely. It's on the publicity stuff for today's show. Make sure you check out Underpup. That's Maureen, Terry, and Dave. And make sure you check them at Vigilante Bar on the 24th of March, and we'll keep you informed about that.
I wish it was called
for
the
now,
Vigilante
guys,
Bar. It's the Delancey.
Oh, the Vigilante Bar. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we will endeavor to plug that for you, and I'm sure Vigilante Bar owe me a few beers now for saying their name several times over the year. But for today, thank you from Underpup, Maureen and Terry, and give our best to Dave, and come back and see us when your new album is coming out.
Okay,
Thanks,
great. Thank you for having us.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Take care, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
That was Maureen and Terry from the band Underpup. Make sure you follow them on social media. That's all we have time for today. Thanks to everyone who's made today's show possible. Thanks to Tyhe Paul Egar for co-hosting. Get well soon, Tyhe. Thanks to Maureen and Terry from Underpup for dropping in. Check out their music on iTunes and from all good music retailers. Next week, my guest co-host will be Swoop, and our guest is singer Kenneth Mogan. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for your continued support, and I love you all. Bye-bye.